Hey up, it's me, Oodles, and this is an intro. Lads, lasses, and variations in between, this is Modern Escapism. Hello everyone and welcome to another week of Modern Escapism. Thank you very much Oodles, who can't be with us tonight but provided us with that excellent intro for the show.
That was kind of him.
It was very kind of him, wasn't it? My name is Stig and I will be hosting for this week, and joining me first up is a man who, since regularly lifting Oodles' body weight at the gym, has blown all the arms off his t-shirts. It's Gadget.
I do not own sleeves. Sleeves are bullshit.
Yep. Next up, it's our first lady of Modern Escapism, a woman whose mind is so deranged that we had to dedicate a full Patreon episode to it. It's Candy.
Hello. It wasn't enough either. I've got more in the tank.
I know. I enjoyed editing that podcast. I had a very good laugh with it. Biggie is also not here this week. He has his wife's been away and he's going to spend time with her. So apparently his family's more important than us. Absolutely shocking.
Disgusting.
Yeah. But in his and Oodles' wake, we have a special guest for the week. It's a man who, when he isn't rolling dice with us from time to time, is fixing terrible sequels from the Sequelisers. It's Jack Chambers. Whoa!
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you for having me back. I noticed Biggie is noticeably absent while I'm here.
He knows scared.
Why. He knows why.
Scared.
Running scared that he's going to roll that D66 again. Yeah, thank you for having me though. It's a lot of fun. I'm a regular listener, as you guys. I'm a patron, so you know I'm a fan of the show. So it's always nice to come back on. And both Stig and Gadget texted me about 2 hours ago. So
yeah, no, thank you for coming last minute. Because of
I think I'd already said yes to Stig, and then Gadget was like, "Hey mate, I know it's last minute, but can I ask a favour?" I was like, "I've already said yes to Stig." Oh, okay, cool.
that's because
Funny
Stig
if you said
texted
no.
me. That's because Stig texts me and goes, "I've asked him on Twitter, but you message him because you speak to him directly." I'm like, "Fucking hell, mate."
You're right, Candy. I should have said no to Gadget just to fuck with him. And just like, no. I'll only come on with Stig, not with Gadget.
Yeah. The proviso is no Gadget.
Exactly.
He's done nasty things to me as a DM.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I only set a giant lobster on him. Like, what more does he want?
Oh, R.I.P. Pinchy. We miss Pinchy.
So, is everyone doing all right? Everyone happy?
Marvellous. Yes.
The sun has gone away a little bit. It's not as warm anymore, Gadget.
No, it was. Yeah, it's nice to not be melting. And I spent the weekend in Bristol, where it's even warmer than it is up here. So,
Tropical, isn't it, down here?
So many happy people out in the sun.
Drinking cider.
Drinking cider. Disgusting.
That's the secret to happiness, isn't it? Just drinking cider.
I mean, I'm drinking cider right now, and it's not working.
Not the stuff down there, though. God, I've had some ciders from Bristol, and it was like drinking. It was like drinking a farm. That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah,
Like
rough
cloudy,
cider
flat
definitely
stuff
has that
that's
kind
like
of
real.
farmy. It definitely does have that farmy taste to it. Like muck's breading.
Pip brought me back a demijohn of cider from my mate's farm once after she'd come down for a visit, and I swear it's like paint stripper.
Mm-hmm. Did it come in a jerry can?
No, full fucking demijohn.
Yeah.
It's awful. And she's like, "Oh, this is proper nice. This is like, it's fucking not, mate."
Right, well, I can't think of a decent segue, so we're just going to head straight into it. It's Biggie's Breaking News.
You may already know, but he doesn't, because it's time for Biggie's Breaking News.
Hey, mama, I've got the news. Gonna read it out, gonna tell it true. Aha, child, listen to me now. Gonna break a story, gonna show you how. Hey, baby, headlines are here. Just take a seat and grab a beer.
stuff. Did everyone else just do the instrumentals in their head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see us all nodding along.
It's a great riff.
Who needs Glastonbury?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Biggie, try harder next time.
Yeah. Well, seeing as though Biggie isn't here, and just so it'll annoy him even more, we're going to hand Biggie's breaking news over to our guest.
You're welcome, Biggie. Let's talk about some Xbox gaming, shall we? And the fact that you probably won't need a console in the future to play Xbox games, because Xbox Gaming app is coming to Amazon Fire TV sticks. Great, that's a thing.
Well, you could already do that with was it Amazon Luna? You already cloud gaming with that, so yeah, this was inevitable. I guess it all depended on how much Microsoft had to pay Amazon to be able to do it.
And Samsung TVs as well. Like this Xbox app's just popped up on my TV one day about sometime last year. Like, oh, that's handy. But now my Xbox is redundant.
Yes and no, because you need a steady connection, and not every game on Game Pass is available on xCloud yet.
Mm.
So, it's a step in the Microsoft binning off consoles and just putting Xbox on everything else. Why bother wasting our time creating a console when we can just stream it?
They have addressed that though, haven't they? They've said that they will probably not stop making consoles for like next gen, because a lot of people are saying they're just not going to bother next time, but actually,
for now,
yeah.
I think if they do it, if this is successful, the next gen will probably be the last time you see proper hardware.
I think it's also reducing the barrier for entry to people, because instead of having to buy a 500 quid console, you can buy a 50 quid controller and just a Game Pass subscription, just get straight into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and if most people have the app on their TV or a Fire Stick, it's just instant access, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been the case that like losses are made on hardware in the games industry, and the software, it's where it's at in terms of the attachment rate to consoles and all that kind of stuff. And like you guys were just saying, it's been a rumor for a while that this direction Xbox has been going, so I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see, like you said, Candy, they've said they're not going to literally stop doing consoles, but maybe like a less concerted effort to actually sell hardware and just more focus on software, get Game Pass, just everything is on Game Pass, buy Game Pass kind of thing. I was reading stats about Game Pass the other day, funnily enough, and it was like, it hasn't grown that much. You know, it's just kind of the same people still have Game Pass that had Game Pass a couple of years ago, and
I think
just kind of.
I think that's because everybody got it and no one's cancelled it yet. So they're not growing anything. There's a ceiling to what they can sell for Game Pass.
That said, that I don't actually watch live TV, so I don't know 100%. But you see games advertised, don't you? But you don't see Microsoft saying this is available on Game Pass. So, like, obviously, they'll come out and say it at Not E3 in their conventions and stuff. But like to the layperson, they just might not necessarily know.
Yeah,
they need to put that stuff
a little stinger at the end, doesn't it? Like,
you need to
they
put
want
that
Game Pass
on an advert on like YouTube and say, Day one, like Game Pass, like only this much. And like if someone's watching that, go, I fancy that new Indiana Jones game, for example. Rather than pay 70 quid, I can buy a Game Pass for $11.99 a month.
That said, though, there's still a lot of the USA that really doesn't have a great internet connection. I think a lot, like the central states, I think they would still really struggle.
Maybe this is their way of trying to break into Japanese markets then, rather like they struggle to sell the hardware there as much as Sony, so we'll offer it on all your smart TVs and your other devices, and you can just access it. I don't know, but it just shows that Stadia was the right way, but they didn't do a very good job. Yeah, I think a lot of people said that this is probably the future, but they just did a bad job of launching it.
Well,
the Dreamcast, like the technology was right. It just was maybe a little bit before its time, and the technology was not quite there. It was just around the corner.
Stadia worked really well. It's just the fact that they insisted on you paying 55 quid for games that were 2 years old.
Yeah, their big selling game was like, you can play Destiny 2. Great. Okay, no.
Apparently Red Dead Redemption 2 was incredible on it, but they wanted 55 quid for that, and it had been out for 2 years at that point.
Yeah. So this is all the games under the sun, practically for 12 quid a month at the moment. it might probably go up. But yeah, I think it's the right direction for them if they're struggling with hardware. Anyway, next.
Sony's new PlayStation 2 emulator has been tested, but it's a disappointing effort, everybody.
Oh, of course.
As someone who's very much into emulators at the moment, this is exciting and then quickly disappointing news for me. The core of the issue seems to be a distinct lack of care when it comes to emulation, with some of the issues we noted with the PS4 version of the emulator remaining unsolved for 2 years, and some new problems cropping up in that time as well. There's lots of reports of unchanged resolution, so you can't even upscale it when you're playing on the newer hardware, and lots of things where the output is not correct, so you're getting the wrong aspect ratios and all that kind of stuff. UI elements of like text and stuff are not being upscaled, so they're incredibly blurry. All the PS2 textures look like crap and all that kind of stuff. Bear in mind, we can do this on like Chinese handhelds for like $60 or whatever they are.
Yeah,
I have a couple of them literally in the room next door. Like I can emulate PS2 on a tiny little like Retroid type thing. It blows my mind that Sony is so far behind on this.
They did it. It was the same problem with that PS1 Classic Mini thing that they did a couple of years back. They built their own emulator and it was shocking. And like even the people behind RCPSX or something like that went, "You could have licensed ours."
It was a modded version of PSX Rearmed, which is one of the common cores that's used in RetroArch, which is one of the main like emulator things. And the PSX Rearm people were like, "Why? Why didn't you just use you didn't use the most up-to-date version? They used a version from like 2 years ago and then modded it so it worked on the PlayStation Mini." And it's like, what? Why would you do that? And that was, speaking of weird launches and weird choices for games, just like, oh, all the PlayStation games I didn't want. Thanks so much. In one handy box. I have one. I think I've played it like twice. That's it.
Yeah, I think it only had like a handful of like
good
great
games
titles. Yeah, and then it was like, okay. But so this like an official Sony thing then?
It is.
Yeah. So this is a wider discussion of them trying to bring. There's even talk of PS3 emulation to the PlayStation Store and basically giving you a PS2 or a PS3 app on your PS5 so you can then emulate directly and they can resell all the old games to you and stuff. And you can do it. You can do a bunch of it on PlayStation Plus Premium, which is the upper tier. You get the classics catalog, which is a bunch of PS1 and PS2 stuff. Yeah. And the PS2 stuff is notorious for running like shit, and they still haven't seemed to have sorted it, apparently.
Is that just the problem with trying to run it on the PS5 architecture then? Like that's the problem. Like it's all like the people who do make good emulators are doing it on PCs, and
PS5 is basically a PC though, dude. Like it's just a PC in a box.
But wasn't there like the problem with putting PS3 games onto like the PS4 was because of the difference?
So the reason for that was because the PS3's architecture was so batshit crazy. Like no one knew properly how to develop for it anyway. It's why you didn't really get any games that really made use of the PS3 until like 2 years before the next gen. But the PS3 does things in a very different way than when they moved to PS4. They went back to an ARM architecture, which is a bit more like a PC, and because it made it easier for developers.
Yeah, because the PS3 ran on the Cell engine, the Cell chip, which was just like some shit that no one else was using, so no one knows how to develop for this or emulate it. And then exactly you said there, Gadget, like, oh, we'll go back to like, it's basically a PC in a box. And that's basically what modern consoles are now. It's just a modded PC in a box that looks ugly, pretty, depending on your opinion on the
PS5 is ugly as fuck.
Okay, good. I'm glad I said that. I think the Xbox Series X is odd looking as well.
It's odd looking, but at least it blends into your furniture a bit better.
Yeah, that's true. We have the 3 consoles on our unit, like in our living room, and it looks, the Switch fits so nicely in its little like dock and stuff, and there's just this fucking monster of the PS5 that is taller than my Horizon Lego tall neck next to it. Just like
that's like ours. Ours is literally like PS5 on one side, Switch in the middle, like on the actual shelf, and then the Xbox on the other side, and yeah, the other two just kind of blend in, being black. And then that's just there, looking like a folder.
I've thankfully hidden my PS5 underneath the TV, So I can only tell that it's there when it's on.
How on earth did you find somewhere big enough to fit it? I tried to fit it. We have like Kallax units. There is no fucking way that is fitting in a Kallax unit.
I can't remember what unit, Bob. It's on its side. It's not stood up, but yeah, it's hidden deep far away, and I can only tell it's there when I turn it on and the blue light comes on.
I could fit mine in my cupboard. Our unit has like two sides. I could fit it in one side, but it would probably burn the unit down. There's not a lot of airflow there. It would melt. Anyway, yeah, that's obviously a disappointment.
But on brand for Sony.
Yeah, very much. Next.
Speaking of PS5, Sunset Overdrive is not coming to PS5 because Insomniac is too busy. I mean,
was that ever a thing that was going to happen?
Right? I
thought it was an Xbox exclusive.
Well, they've brought Sunset Overdrive. There's obviously Pentiment has come across. Grounded has come across as well. They're doing a lot of the Xbox stuff on other. Again, coming back to that first story we were just talking about, bringing Xbox stuff to other platforms and all that kind of thing. So there was a discussion of Sunset Overdrive because it's Insomniac and they're best mates with Sony. They're going to bring it over to the PlayStation, all that kind of stuff.
That was 2 gens ago. No, that was last gen. So yeah.
A long time ago, and was it a game that really set the world alight?
That was going to be my next point. It's it was fine.
It was like a solid 7 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who cares? Next.
Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil, and Death Stranding ports have bombed. Well, lots of bad port news. Very few people are downloading the big name console games ported over to iPhone because we now have the ability to play games on iPhone properly. And because people don't want to pay like $50 for mobile games, even if it's an actual full proper game. It feels wrong to me, and I feel like I'm not in the minority there, where it's just like, I'm not paying 40 quid for a thing to play on my phone.
No. So I mean, it's impressive that they actually play on these devices.
Yeah. Like I downloaded the Resident Evil 4 opening chapter bit on my iPad, and I connected my controller, and I played through the opening chapter up until the point where it said, you need to pay for this now. I was like, this is incredible that it runs on this. It burned through an iPad Pro battery in an hour and a half because it has...
Welcome to emulation, yeah.
Yes. So it's not something that I could play on the go without being plugged in anywhere. And I didn't want to pay 50 quid for it because I didn't even pay that much for it on PS5.
Right.
It's impressive that it does it. I can't imagine anyone would actually want to sit there and play through a game as big as, say, Death Stranding on a phone.
Yeah, and not just that. It's this: if you were going to play it on the go, you've got half your screen's taken up by controls. If you're not going to sit there on a bus or a train with a controller. Really, it's one of those ones that you're going to sit there on your phone and your fingers and the buttons are all over the screen, so you can't even see all of it properly.
Not to mention those things where it's like the controller that the phone like clips onto the top of your controller, so it's all like one.
I've got one of those. It's great. But the thing of the Death Stranding, you kind of have to squint to be able to see the enemies anyway.
And the text is so small in it as well.
Yeah, I've got a 65-inch TV and I still struggled, and I was sitting 3 foot away from it.
I've actually got some figures here from estimates of sales and stuff. Under 3,000 people have paid $49.99 to play Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is not a good game anyway, on iPhone since it launched on June the 6th. It's been downloaded approximately 123,000 times with a gross revenue of $138,000. The game is only playable on the high spec of Apple stuff as well, so you need to have the latest tech. Stuff like Resident Evil 4, we just mentioned Resident Evil Village, Death Stranding. Got some numbers for them and some estimates for them as well. Resident Evil has been downloaded 357,000 times. That's a decent thing, but I'm guessing they did kind of what you did, Gadget. Like, that's people playing the free level and then not actually continuing at all. Estimated revenue of just $208,000. Just imagine the tech and the effort that went into porting these things over.
I was just thinking that it probably costs more money.
Like that Assassin's Creed one, that's... If 3,000 people have paid full price for it, that's only 150 grand. Like, senior developer wages in Canada where that game was made, like a senior developer would be like 80 grand a year. So they've paid for 2 developers for that ish.
Yeah. So with the revenue from Resident Evil 4 based on the like roughly $30 price tag, that's about 7,000 in sales of like actual full-time sales. So yeah, not great. Cool idea. Once again, that seems to be the theme of the news this week is cool idea. Maybe not now. Maybe not the right time.
Do you remember when mobile gaming peaked with like Infinity Blade? Like it's never been that good since.
Yes. So good.
When you're doing your little swipes and stuff.
Yeah, I remember playing that game so much on my iPad when I first got an iPad, like the first one I ever got. It's like an iPad 2. Playing that on it was great. I played that and Telltale. I think was it Telltale Back to the Future.
Yeah,
they all came out on iPad.
Yeah, I played that. I remember taking them on our honeymoon. Like back then, didn't have a Switch. Didn't have Switch wasn't around.
Yeah,
Ally wasn't a thing. Steam Deck, so it was all like games that you could get on your iPad. I think it was like that. I think I had GTA 3 as well.
I think ultimately people need to just accept that there are games that work on a phone and an iPad, and AAA console games aren't necessarily it.
No. Speaking of AAA games, next.
Speaking of Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed as well, Ubisoft CEO confirms multiple Assassin's Creeds are getting remakes. Ubisoft is cooking up multiple Assassin's Creed game remakes, according to CEO Yves Guillemot. And while he hasn't revealed which ones yet, the news follows reports last year that Ubisoft's much-loved Black Flag is getting the remake treatment. Because, after the success of Skull and Bones, we really need more Black Flag.
Although that's the one that everyone seems to...
game.
Yeah, that's the one that people seem to really like. So, that's probably them going... let's re-release our good pirate game.
We should have done that in the first place rather than making Skull and Bones for 12 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous. As Duke Nukem Forever levels of
quadruple A game.
Yeah.
We called it as well.
Like the only Assassin's Creed game that I could see would be worth a remake would be 2. And even then, it doesn't need a remake. Just a remaster. Just an HD remaster would do it fine. It's a great game from start to finish. But
there is an audience that would have missed the first couple of games, isn't there? When did they come out? That's about 20 years ago. Yeah.
2007 was the first game.
2007, 2009, 2010, all that kind of era, isn't it? Like, yeah.
The problem is, I think people forget like how limited the first game was. It was cool, but ultimately each mission was exactly the same. Get to a place, listen to a person, go find the person and kill them. Come home, be told you're a twat. That was it. Get betrayed. That was the entire game, but it ran for like 6 hours. It wasn't a very long game. Whereas like Assassin's Creed 2 actually put like a real big story into it, and you got a lot of characters and a lot of lovable characters as well. And you huge indoor spaces, which you didn't really get with the first game. So like I think Assassin's Creed 2 would be a great point to do a remake or a remaster or a re-release or something like that. 3 wasn't very good. 4 was good. Black Flag was good. And then after that, after Black Flag, it was Unity, and that shit the bed so massively it was unreal. And then they've just kind of been a bit beige since.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like the open world ones. People seem to really enjoy, and then they seem to turn on them and say we want something a bit more grounded.
So they went to Mirage, and people didn't like that.
People didn't like that.
Yeah.
Now the new one, the
Japan one
in Japan, that actually looks really, really good.
Yeah, it was too woke.
But
how dare there be a black man in Japan or a woman?
How dare there be a historically accurate African guy? How rude. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like with those engines, like the Origins Odyssey Valhalla trilogy, where they went like action RPG basically, and it turned into like you can't kill this guy until you're level 40, where instead of just you can just assassinate anyone in the previous ones.
Yeah.
And as we just said, like Mirage went kind of halfway back and did this, not really committing either way. And my wife, who was a huge Assassin's Creed fan, was like, this is shit. I don't know why they're doing this. She really loved Origins and Odyssey, and I really like those games as well.
Yeah.
But it felt like a weird step back reactionary thing of like, oh, we've gone too far into the open world thing. Now we need to step it back because we've been doing it for the last 5 years.
Yeah, they need to take a couple of years off.
I'm fascinated to see what Shadows is like, where you've got the kind of combination of Yosuke being like this badass sword fighting, no stealth, just being a big tanky motherfucker, and then the stealth of Naoe being like the like Tenchu stealth assassin type stuff, where you're just being a little ninja and stuff. I'm interested to see, because apparently you can tackle missions with either one.
Yeah.
So you can go like full frontal assault with Yasuke or super stealthy and sneaky with Naoe. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that balance works out.
They'll either stick the landing or they'll miss it massively.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, if anyone listens to Scorched Sheep, you know which way I'm going to play that game.
Big and angry with an axe.
Tank it. Yeah.
He's got one of those big spiked like Japanese club things. I can't remember what they're called, but that was really. I mean, I saw the demo of the Summer Games Fest thing, and it was pretty cool.
It's very effective. Next.
Star Wars Bounty Hunter, one of my favourites from back in the day, is getting a surprise remaster by Aspyr on all modern platforms, including Boba Fett. Isn't that exciting? Lucasfilm Games and Aspyr are taking us back to an earlier version of the galaxy far, far away's criminal underworld with a remaster of Bounty Hunter, which stars Jango Fett. But you can unlock Boba Fett by hitting 100% on your save file, and basically you just get a reskin of Jango because they're the same.
No, see,
They're literally clones.
Colour,
like what? That's just a palette swap. That's not even Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It's less than that. It's like you have the same moveset.
Yeah. Plus, doesn't he take his father's armor? Oh, he got it. Yeah.
Well, he has his father's helmet. Yeah.
That's cool. If you really like them, I never played it.
Oh, Bounty Hunter was great.
Yeah. I loved Bounty Hunter. I'm still gutted we never got 1313.
1313 looked like I've seen the concept art for that. It looked fucking brilliant.
The cancelled Coruscant underworld game that's just like I wish we had. Oh, man.
Did we ever find out what happened to Star Wars Eclipse? They showed it about 2-3 years ago, and then just nothing. I don't know if it got cancelled or if it got name change. I can't remember.
Probably. She's got all the cancelled games, hasn't she?
Reddit thread. Whatever happened to Star Wars Eclipse?
Will it ever come out? It's Quantic Dream.
It looked good.
Apparently,
it's David Cage. Your
David Cage. Apparently, the game is estimated to release in 2028 to 2030.
Jesus.
Good old.
Just around the corner then.
Yeah. It's set in the High Republic, so that ties into like Acolyte and stuff and all the.
Yeah, and I'm sure given the reception to Acolyte, they're going to be changing some decisions about that.
And I'm sure we'll all still be talking about Acolyte in 2030. What the fuck?
Some people will. You know what they're like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Find a remaster that people want and like. Next.
Frostpunk 2 has a launch date, but it got delayed. Frostpunk 2 release date will arrive in 2024 later on, but it's been pushed back a couple of months. Originally, the release date was about nowish, pretty much, in July. It is now going to be...
Was it end of June or something like that?
It was end of June, beginning of July sort of time. It was like 28th of June or something like that. It's now going to be the 20th of September, and they actually have a little statement to go along with this. Based on the surveys received after people played the beta, the average rating you gave us was 8 out of 10. We're super grateful for that. At the same time, it's only a small slice of work in progress, still growing game. While our backlog is plentiful, it was an opportunity for us to listen to what you enjoyed and what didn't quite land yet. This allowed us to prioritize things better and bring upfront the features and modifications. This is just corporate speak bollocks, right? Like this.
It is.
I'm reading this out loud, and it's like we want to optimize and prioritize the most best things that you all love that are best for our customers.
They ChatGPT'd it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely right. set the tone to consumer friendly, and then ChatGPT it. Like, fucking hell.
But in the same breath, they've used a beta for what it's actually for. It's not a marketing device that so many people use them for. They've taken the feedback. Like most of the feedback I'd seen, I didn't get a chance to play the beta, but I've been very interested in Frostpunk 2 because I love the first game.
I love the first one, man. Yeah, definitely.
And I've been seeing people going on about there's a few systems that don't make sense, or the balancing is off, or we don't understand how this works. So the fact that they're getting this feedback, they're going, hey, we're going to actually make the game better as a result of this. I'm all for that. Delay it, make sure it's good when it comes out. Because the first game landed and was brilliant from the start. So I would have been sad if Frostpunk 2 came out and it wasn't quite as good as the first one.
Yeah, there's that quote by Shigeru Miyamoto about a bad game is bad forever, a delayed game is good eventually when it's ready, or eventually good. Yeah, exactly. That's like... That's just the golden rule these days. I think like I am all for people pushing back stuff. There's no need for crunch. Like, can we just chill out on that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Take your time, get it right. I'm excited for Frostpunk 2.
I mean, let's not forget that that's what happened with Cyberpunk. They pushed it back to make it better, and then it just wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it is now, but it's been out for about 14 years.
Yeah, it needed another 2 years in the can.
I think the problem is, I think putting a date on something is the problem. Like, this could be an issue for them that, it was meant to come out now, but we're definitely releasing it this year, and it gets to September and it's still not ready, and it's like, we've put another date on it. Do we release it, or do we push it back and put another date on it? I just do a Silk song and just go quiet.
Well, there was a golden age, wasn't it, when we didn't have quite so much access to the internet and everything. We got all our news from magazines where they wouldn't say release date, and it would be like maybe 6 months max before they really started chugging stuff out and letting us know about it. I think it was like with Majora's Mask after Ocarina of Time, we had about 3 months notice, and then it dropped.
Yeah, maybe they should just go back to doing that, staying quiet as they can, and then saying, we know our game's ready. Right, it's out in 4 months because we know it's going to be ready then.
And make people miss things as well. Like if something suddenly dropped, like, oh my God, I remember that from back in the day. I'm so excited. I've missed that so much. Rather than they'll have like a 3-game cycle. But like, well, we know this is coming next, so it's probably going to be about 5-6 years.
Yeah. It's like Elder Scrolls 6. Just drop a logo, then say fuck all about it. It's like, don't say anything. Don't say anything until you've got an official. Until Bethesda are like, right, we're officially making this. It's going to come out here, and we know where we're at, and we've already put a lot of time and effort into it. Then say
it's the opposite of what they did for Skyrim. It was pretty much what you just said there, Candy. Like they did the announce it at E3, which is June. It's coming out in November. 11/11/11. Let's go, motherfuckers, and that was it. And
Bethesda used to be great for that, and now, well, like Stig said, they announced Elder Scrolls 6 about 6 years ago. Sorry, it's not like we didn't know it was coming. They didn't have to, did they?
Yeah, we knew it was coming one day, but don't just like put a logo up there that makes people think, it's gonna. Obviously, we've had Fallout 4. Okay, so there's Starfield, and then they must be working on Elder Scrolls 6. Surely that's going to come 2 years after Starfield or something. No, they just threw it out there.
Yeah, when you said that 6 years ago, sorry, go on, comment.
So that to me was. Did Microsoft own them at that point?
Nope.
No.
So it wasn't even Microsoft going, just throw it out there to get people over to Game Pass or anything. Wasn't even that. That's just.
You said 6 years ago, Candy. You nailed it. It was E3 2018. It's
like,
fucking that's like pre-pandemic. That's a whole nother universe. Like, fucking hell. It's crazy. It's apparently in active production as of last year. It's like, cool. So you just sat on nothing for 5 years. Brilliant.
Well, they were doing Starfield, weren't they? As soon as Starfield out, I think they kind of moved over to it. But I mean, hopefully they've got a much bigger staff now. Maybe it will just fucking hurry up.
Yeah.
I'm so worried about that game because what engine are they doing it in? Seriously.
It'll be the same fucking engine. You know it will.
Engine again, yeah.
Well, time to move on.
Yeah.
And moving on we will. Next.
From Software are open to transmedia adaptations of Elden Ring. This comes from an interview with The Guardian with the one and only Hidetaka Miyazaki. I don't see any reason to deny another interpretation or adaptation of Elden Ring. A movie, for example. But I don't think myself or From Software have the knowledge or ability to produce something in a different medium. So that's where a very strong partner would come into play. We'd have to build trust and agreement on whatever we're trying to achieve, but there's interest for sure. Of course there's interest, Miyazaki. There's money involved. Like,
you mean a strong partner who could write it like George R.R. Martin? The guy you already have developing your story. Don't take him away from the books. Come on.
They're going to take him away from the books.
Everything's taking him away from the books.
Books, is he? Funny enough, George R.R. Martin had a response and did a little tease when this news came out. He posted on his blog, "Oh, and about those rumours you may have heard about a film or TV series based on Elden Ring, I have nothing to say. Not a word. Nope, not a thing. I know nothing. You never heard a peep from me. What rumour?"
Yeah, so they've already said, can you develop this lore into some kind of story or script, please?
Yeah. Can we get Benioff and Weiss to come in and... No!
They can. Right. let's not deny the fact that they can develop stuff
Yeah.
based
They can.
on stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to writing their own shit, not so much. Give them material, and they're great at adapting. I think they did something else that was really good as well.
Three-body problem.
Yeah, Three Body Problem's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not so much their own stuff. Yeah, why not? Every other game's getting developed into something now. Might as well make one of the most popular games of the last few years into something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But surely animated.
Maybe. It's
Do you know,
a lot of budget.
Like
A live
Castlevania.
action. Yeah, a live action would probably look a bit shit with like having it'd cost an absolute fortune in CGI.
Mm.
Like all those monsters and even just little enemies and stuff.
Even just the world.
Give it to Netflix. Netflix do some fantastic animation.
Yeah,
Give
they
it
do.
to Netflix, like to do something with it, like Arcane, but in Elden Ring world. So
That'd be nice.
next,
Inside Out 2 has become the first film of 2024 to pass $1 billion worldwide.
Good.
it's
on
good.
them.
It's a good film.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you can make a good film. People go
It's
and see
weird
it.
'cause I don't remember like Inside Out being an absolute phenomenon. The first one being like, oh my god, this is the next big. It's not a Frozen where it was just like taking over the world and making all the money in the world. But
No,
this
but it was-
one seems to have like really taken off, right?
I think the thing with Inside Out is you almost have to be an adult to fully appreciate it. Like you have to have had those experiences in life. Whereas kids are like they don't. I mean, there's things visually and stuff that's fun to watch and everything, but they won't stop and think about the actual themes. And I think that's probably a little bit of Inside Out too as well. I saw my therapist today, and he is obsessed. He just absolutely
That
loves
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, he said it's so accurate.
Yeah, telling you that a lot of people have resonated with anxiety.
Mhm.
Like, it isn't just a character they've thrown in because it's wacky and it kind of destroys the world they're in. It's like people who have had seriously bad anxiety issues are like, that is exactly how I feel. There's one scene towards the end, and they said like when my head just spins out of control, and like my anxiety is just getting the better of me. That's how I feel. Like that is like a visual representation of what's going on inside my head. So it's not just speaking to kids, like adults are going to see it as well because it's like therapy for adults. It's great. It really, really is good. And it's got strong, outside of like those messages, it's got some really good, strong jokes and, great for kids as well. I think it's brilliant. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then soon it'll get overtaken by Despicable Me 4.
Oh god, that's coming out really soon, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's out-
which,
Are we prepping for another Sequelisers episode on that?
which won't have
Fucking Christ.
those messages.
Gotta listen to Steve Carell doing his Gru voice again.
Talk
I
about
like the first one.
girls.
First one's fine.
Yeah. Next.
Off to the MCU, where Kevin Feige hints that the Fantastic Four won't be set in our world, in quotes. I didn't know the Marvel Cinematic Universe was set in our world, and confirms that it's going to be set in the 1960s.
I mean, everyone guessed that already, hadn't they?
Yeah,
It made
yeah,
sense.
we all kind of knew. Yeah,
Yeah, the picture hinted at that, and it meant that because of all the multiverse stuff, it's like, well, clearly this is in a different universe because no one's ever mentioned or seen them before. Like, yeah.
We're all multiverse and shit these days. We can do what we like.
Yeah.
The quote from Feige is this going to be a period piece? His response is, yes, very much so. It's a period piece. Well, thanks, Kevin. No, yeah, very subtle world-building and storytelling there. Like, yeah. Yes, double yes, very much so. There were a lot of smart people who noticed that the cityscape didn't look exactly like the New York we know or that existed in the 60s of our world. Those are smart observations, that's all I'll say.
I mean, it was
You have a multiverse, dude. Like, what? This isn't surprising.
the picture they put out had like the magazine was from the 60s. Everything was
Yeah.
60s aesthetic. Like we already guessed it. It's like, cool, Kevin. Thanks. Although, when you say period piece, like I know that technically it is being in the 60s, but that's not what I think of when someone says period piece. And now it's making me want like a Pride and Prejudice style. But
No, you're going to say Pride and Prejudice.
MCU Pride and
1602, right?
Prejudice.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. They did the like early 1600s Marvel series, 1602, where they took it back to like X-Men in the early 17th century and stuff in the comics. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Actually, that'd be
just combine it with like the fucking weirdness and horniness of Bridgerton, and just
Bonkerton.
yeah, just now, my lady, the most eligible bachelor in the country, Mr. Hulk. The Hulk stomping in a tuxedo.
You know how
Milady.
like is it Temerez, like the Napoleonic Wars but with dragons?
Yes.
Like I could love to see like the American Revolutionary War but like with X-Men in it. I know like we had that like brief clip of like Wolverine in it, but like actually putting mutants in that war like for both sides, I think that'd be really cool actually.
Just have a battle where mutants are involved, and then you've got someone kind of painting it afterwards and go, no, I'm not going to include that.
Yeah. George Washington is the original mega mutant.
He's the striker of the 1700s.
Yeah. Anyway, next.
Bob Odenkirk is returning for Nobody 2, and Timo Giganto is going to direct. I really like the first Nobody, so this is exciting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And he directed The Night Comes For Us and Headshot. And Night Comes For Us is great. Like, proper hard, kick-ass, like, action film.
Yeah. Indonesian directors and filmmakers really fucking know their action and stuff, so I'm excited.
Yeah. No, yeah, Nobody was good fun.
Something to watch that. I've seen that scene on the bus.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which, because that was heavily put into the trailers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's,
it's
a
good.
bit brutal.
Next.
The Nosferatu trailer. Robert Eggers brings fresh horror to cinema's vampire classic. This is Bill Skarsgård as the creature himself, Lily Rose Depp as Ellen Hunter, and Nicholas Hoult as her husband Thomas. Nosferatu is kind of like Dracula adjacent kind of stuff. It's their hairless, creepy looking vampire. You might recognize them from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
You've also got Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin, and Willem Dafoe and Ralph Ineson in there as well. So very interesting.
The trailer
amazing
looks
cast.
great.
The trailer looks amazing. Robert Eggers is just all killer, no filler for me personally. So yeah.
They didn't show actual Nosferatu in the trailer, did they?
No, there was the silhouette and hint of him.
Yeah, good. Keep it like that.
More, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I'd love him to do that. I'd love him, but sometimes it's not up to the director, is it? It's the studios want. Oh, we want everyone to see him. We want everyone to see him. It's like,
well, they've probably spent a pretty penny on Skarsgård, haven't they? So I imagine we'll be seeing him in full force. But I think he'll be really good. Like he looks so creepy anyway, and so like long and tall and gangly. I think it'll be cool.
Become the go-to like lanky weirdo.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, we need a dude to play a lanky weird monster. Like, Bill,
got just
Bill
the fellow.
phone. Yeah.
I do always appreciate with Robert Eggers as well his ability to make something that looks amazing with such a limited color palette. Because everything's adjacent to black and white. Like obviously The Lighthouse was in black and white, but his other films have been in color, but might as well not have been.
Yeah, I expected this to be in black and white. I was quite surprised it wasn't, to be honest. I thought he might have gone for that.
Yeah,
like,
especially with the period piece-ness of it all.
Yeah, and the original like Nosferatu obviously being so many years ago and in black and white. I thought he might have done that again here, but it's still going to look great.
Oh yeah,
it was a wonderful Christmas film.
Yeah, it comes out on Christmas Day in America.
Bit later here for us over here, but yeah, just when it said coming Christmas, I was like, oh yeah, a nice take the family down to watch Nosferatu.
Americans have a cinema Christmas thing, right? That's
Yeah,
a
they
thing
do,
Americans do. So yeah, we'll go and see Nosferatu together. Great.
Next
is the season. 25 years ago, South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, released in theaters.
Jesus Christ, we're
that
old.
made me feel very old.
Yeah, it's just
However,
had a 4K disc release as well.
Ooh,
I think it's only in America at the moment, so I may get that if it comes over to the UK.
That does give me an excuse to put Blame Canada at the end of the Patreon version.
I think I put Uncle Fucker at the end of one of them. Oh no, Carl's mum's a bitch, didn't I? At the end of one of our Patreon episodes.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I'm always surprised it never did another film. I know Imagination Land was meant to be a film, and they split it into like a 3-part series anyway. But
I think it was Trey Parker and Matt Stone found the actual filmmaking process more stressful than it needed to be. Because so many more people are involved with it. There's so many, like, you've got not just the people at Comedy Central that they normally deal with, but then you've got like the film distributors, and you've got all these other people who are like trying to say, no, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't have Saddam Hussein waving a dildo around. And I think they hated that.
It only made 83 million.
Oh yeah, it wasn't.
I know it's probably
hit.
a lot back then, and it only cost them 21 million to make. But I'm just surprised in the height of South Park, studios didn't throw more money at them to say, we want another film.
I think also remember the time that film came out that South Park was still a kind of a persona non grata in popular culture to a lot of people. There was still a lot of people saying, "Oh, South Park's terrible. Cartoon shouldn't be like this," kind of thing. Because it was still a kind of underground hit, whereas now it's this massive multimedia empire.
Yeah, they're doing the specials now, aren't they?
Rather than doing a series.
Well, they do a
they're
series.
feature-length ones, aren't they? The specials are feature-length.
They're still doing series, but I think they're doing less often and doing like big specials in between.
Because they did post-COVID and what's the most recent one? Fat Kids or something like that? Or
the Ozempic one.
Yeah.
I've not watched that one yet. Apparently it's really good, because some of the specials have been a bit hit and miss. I think it just depends how much Randy they put in it these days.
There's a whole lot of Randy in this one.
Yeah, it's become the Randy show, but that's fine. I think it's better that they expanded it out to different characters rather than just the 4 boys. Anyway, yeah, brilliant. If you've not watched that, watch it. It's fantastic.
It's brilliant. It's one of the best musicals ever written.
Next.
On to some tech news. Internet speed record of 420 million megabits per second was achieved using standard optic fiber cabling fast enough to download all of Baldur's Gate 3 in 4 milliseconds.
Wow.
Give it me now.
That would be bottlenecked by your CPU
everything else.
and everything else in the world, basically, yes. This is not just I will connect it up with my fiber optics and stuff. This is from Japan's National Institute of Information and Communications Technology, and they didn't use any crazy shit. It's essentially just a bunch of commercially available optic cables and fibers, signal amplifiers, and 50 kilometers of those cables were used, with an estimated peak rate of 402 terabits per second. Whew.
That's wild.
It's approximately 25% higher than the previous record, which was set in October last year.
Yeah, I'm into it, and especially with the fact that they're not using any special cabling or anything like that. It's just they're changing the bits at the end points. Yeah, brilliant. Get it down us.
Yeah.
I want that speed. I don't care if my PC is a bottleneck. Just force everything into it.
I want to download a new game in less than a second, please.
I mean, I have enjoyed. I think I'm on 500 megabits per second at the minute. I have enjoyed now because indie games seem to be getting smaller. I think Unity's done something where they're able to come smaller. I downloaded Animal Well in 4 seconds. I was very happy with that.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm even happy with the bigger games and like the updates. I had to do an update to Elden Ring and Alan Wake, and they were both like massive. They're like 20 odd gig or something stupid because I've not played them in so long. And yeah, it took like 20 minutes. Like, whereas before when I had to do that, it would be absolutely ages. So, yeah, fun. Next.
Time for some weird and wonderful news. Let's talk about hobby horsing, shall we? Apparently, it's popular in Finland and most recently spread to other parts of the world. It is a sport which involves, as you could probably guess from the name, riding a wooden stick with one end decorated with a pony's head. This is now a thing. It's all the usual galloping and cantering and stuff, and what you would imagine from an actual horse, but people just running around looking like dickheads with a stick between their legs.
Have you seen how high they can jump, though? Like, it is impressive. Like, I watched a little bit. It's like, I take it back. This is not funny. This is serious.
I wouldn't go so as far as serious, but impressive.
I might
athletically impressive. Yeah. In the UK, the British show Pony Society announced April's plans to embrace the hobby horse craze by introducing a contest with £300 prizes for the winners. That's how you know shit's getting serious, when you get 300 quid as a prize.
Is this like just another branch of being a furry?
Maybe. It's like, how sexy do you make your hobby horse? So it's like, yeah. You've all got our preferences.
Do they shoot the hobby horses if they fall over and break their legs?
They snap the twig in front of you, just like everything. That's the judges.
It's the kindest thing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, only this week, 260 riders from 22 countries, mostly women and girls aged between 10 and 20, turned up for the 11th annual event in the town of Seinoaki. I'm terrible at Finnish. Hopefully that's nowhere near how I pronounce it.
It's better than Biggie had done.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take it. He can't pronounce normal people's names, so I'll take me mispronouncing a Finnish town. Some people find it hard to take this sport seriously. No shit, claiming it's not a real sport. And we actually have a quote from one of the riders saying they've suffered abuse.
Fucking hell.
Nara Alin, 24, who says she is one of the victims of such abuse, said, "We know what everyone on the hobby horsing has been through. I think that's the main thing that pulls us all together. If you jump over obstacles, your hip mobility has to be absolutely insane," said Mikkonen, 20, with some fences up to 3.5 feet tall.
Wow.
They deserve bullying, that's all I'm saying.
This is on the
fucking stupid.
the level
Get a
of
proper hobby.
real life Quidditch.
Right?
I mean, real life Quidditch is exactly the same thing, because they're just running around with a stick
between their legs.
Yeah, throwing balls at each other.
I mean, at least they're braining people with heavy leather balls, so, you know.
I don't know how that real life
Quidditch horsing and just kill each other's horses.
Yeah, throw some jousting in there to make it really exciting.
Now we're talking, mate. Now we're fucking talking.
I don't know how the Quidditch one works though, because who has the snitch? Is it just is there somebody who's dressed as the snitch running around? And
there is someone they have to chase. It's like attached to the back. They have to grab them and pull it off.
Oh right, so that's I didn't know. I genuinely was taking the piss.
I was going to say a drone. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a drone would make more sense. But
mind
then
you,
again,
if you're pelting around looking upwards, you're going to run into people. That's the trouble.
Also, if you're controlling the drone, you just go, as soon as someone's about to grab it, you just go, whoop, and
see ya.
go up, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I mean, isn't that pretty much what the snitch does? And don't people in Harry Potter severely injure themselves?
Yeah, pretty much. The snitch is an absolute bastard. Yeah, so. But yeah, that's it. That's Biggie's breaking news from week. Thank you very much for filling in for Biggie there. Excellent job all around, I think.
Oh yes, top work.
I'll leave you to rest your voice because you've read all that, and we'll move on to what we've been doing. We'll start with you, Gadget. What have you been doing this week?
So a couple of things. It is time for my second part of the year where I talk about games done quick, which started up this week. This is the Summer Games Done Quick, this time benefiting Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders. So, if you haven't heard me wax lyrical about this before, this is the twice-annual speedrunning marathon, where a load of nerds come together in a hotel, play some games stupidly quickly to raise lots of money for a charity. And it's great. It's back in person this year, because I think it was earlier this year. The one earlier this year was back to being remote because there was some weird shit going on in Florida and they didn't want to go there, so they ended up doing remote. So yeah, they're back to in person.
Isn't that just every day?
It was
something weird happens in Florida.
Okay, political shit in Florida. Not getting into it
again.
So yeah, they're back in person this time, and I have got a selection of games that I think people should watch. By the time this comes out, most of these will already been played, but you can go back onto the Games Done Quick YouTube channel and watch the video on demand. So the first one I'm interested in is Balatro, doing a 3-deck random seed game. They can't skip any hands, and they reckon they can do it in 45 minutes.
How can you like do that game quickly? Isn't it not random luck of the draw and stuff?
Yes, but I don't know. That's why I'm interested to see it. I really want to see how they do it.
They just must know all the outcomes of, like, if I get this draw, I got this card, I can do this and do that. Like, they must know every kind of permutation on what I can do with these cards.
Some of the boss blinds though are really hard, like because some of them you get where the cards come out face down, so you don't know which card you're picking. So how they'll handle that is beyond me, especially if it's towards the later end and you need to start getting ridiculously high scores. Next after that, Alan Wake 2, which is the Alan percent speedrun, where they're only doing the initiation level, so the Alan side of it. Very excited to see that because they reckon they can do it in an hour, and that's a really long game, so I want to see how they do it. I'm assuming they're probably going to break that one a little bit.
Yeah. They break a lot of these games, though, don't they?
Oh, they do. So some of them they do big glitches on. Next one, Hollow Knight, where they're doing a race to the true ending. So that's where you'll have two different players speed running it and trying to get to the end as fast as possible. But this is for the true ending, which means they've got to beat the Radiance, which is not easy.
Does that include 100% in everything?
Yeah, it's 112% is true ending. So yeah.
Yeah, so you've got to do everything like transfer the flower and all that.
Yeah. And depends. If they're doing 101%, yeah, that's beating the Radiance. If they do 112%, that also involves doing the boss rush mode in God Home at the end.
Oh God,
which is brutal to say the least.
Yeah. I don't think I did all that. I think I beat Radiance and I did all the other stuff. The only thing I didn't ever finish was the Devil and the Circus.
Oh
guy.
yeah, the Grim.
Yeah, I just could not beat him. And then the little bug. What's his name? It begins with a Z. Zote, yeah. And then I was like, and then I read up what you get if you beat Zote, and it's absolutely nothing. So I was like, okay,
it's a different welcome screen.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not that bothered. I'm not spending my time getting wound up by this guy beating me, like when I don't get anything good out of it. So yeah, I was quite happy just doing. I think 105% of some of the game.
Yeah,
I did everything else, but then
that's where I came out. I couldn't do the boss rush at the end. It was just too hard to do it without the breaks. Next after that, one I think this is in Jack's wheelhouse. Destiny 2, doing the Wrath of the Machine raid solo. I can't remember. Is Destiny one of your games, Jack?
Not particularly. No.
I don't know why I had it in my head.
I played a lot of Destiny 1 back in the day, but not since. I never really picked up 2.
All right. Well, this is the Wrath of the Machine raid solo, which is normally a 6-person raid. So it'll be interesting to see how that does, and that's in an hour 45. Halo 3 4-player legendary co-op, just because that's a fun one to watch regardless. in an hour 20.
Nice.
Sekiro hitless any percent in 40 minutes.
Oh, love a Souls-like hitless run.
Yeah,
love it.
So that's Sekiro as well. That's fast hits. That says to me he's doing the Shura ending, so he's not doing all of the bosses. If it's just any percent. System Shock Remake, just because I really enjoyed that last year. Super Mario World Kaizo Relay Race, that's where they make all kinds of fucked up levels for Super Mario World and they have to relay it. Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode Glitchless, so they have to play through the whole game in Honor Mode, which is the permadeath version. Apparently in an hour they can do that.
Fucking hell.
If that's glitchless, I have no idea how they can do that.
How?
I don't know.
Get Gale to the brain as quickly as possible. Like,
yeah, I think that's the
easiest. That's the speedrun thing, is getting Gale to the Elder Brain. But mad.
Super Metroid any percent race. There's 4 runners racing that one. So that's always fun. And Super Metroid's a great speedrunning game. And last up, Elden Ring any percent glitchless run. So in an hour 25. Again, no idea how they do that in an hour 25. Because even just with that one, you've got to traipse across a lot of map to finish that game.
You only need to beat a handful of bosses, though,
12,
right? You
12 bosses.
Yeah, the essential 12 and the shard bearers and stuff. So
but
this person clearly knows like every intricate detail of how those bosses move and what to do when they attack and when to roll. Yeah.
And some of the mandatory bosses you've got to fight are absolute dicks as well.
Like, absolutely, yeah.
Because I think
you've still got the Radagon Elden Beast 2-parter that is always a fucker.
Yeah, you've usually got the Red Wolf of Radagon to get to Renala.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some right awful twats to fight in that. Godfrey twice. So yeah, so that's my picks for it. So yeah, get onto their YouTube and get them watched after the fact, or watch it live for the rest of the time that it's out when this podcast comes out. It's twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. And as usual, I've bought a t-shirt and sent them a donation because I'm nice like that.
Yes. Put the charity in the show notes as well, won't we?
Yeah, will do. The other thing I've done, I went down to Bristol this weekend, as I said before, to see a rather special thing, which has become a nice little core memory for me. Because as we all know, as we've discussed several times on this podcast, I adore Wallace and Gromit. Because who doesn't? I went down to Bristol to see a live showing of The Wrong Trousers with a live brass band playing the music. And I tell you what, it was fucking wonderful.
I really want to go to a film with a live band. I always see like clips of people watching Lord of the Rings.
It's really become a thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Stuff like Interstellar and stuff like with a live band.
The trouble is sometimes like these bands are so note perfect, you kind of forget they're there after a while. Like you end up just watching, like normally they'll show the film above it, of course. So you end up just watching the film and forgetting, like it's just note for note, absolutely perfect. You almost want them to make a couple of mistakes so you remember they're still there.
The times where I noticed it most was like the big kind of the tension stabs when you get the entire horn section with the tubas coming in, you like feel it in your chest. But yeah, so this was done by the Filton Concert Brass Band, who, according to their website, is Bristol's championship section brass band, regularly perform competitions and concerts across the country. And they partnered with Aardman to do a special version of this, so that Aardman provided them with a copy of the film without the music track. And they played it. It was mental. This was in just a kind of village hall in St Michael's Centre in Stoke Gifford. That's only relevant for Candy. She might know where that is. And it was lovely. It was really nice. But the band started off by playing just a few kind of jazzy standards and some pop songs that were rearranged for it. Like they did Pharrell Williams' Happy, which works really well as a brass band song. So they did like a half an hour of that, and then they did a little raffle thing, then they showed the film, and it was like, we were there for like an hour and a half, and it was just a really lovely time. And I love that film so much. The Wrong Trousers is just like, it's a perfect 10 out of 10 film. Like there's not a single frame wrong in that film. So yeah, I had a really lovely time in Bristol and went to see that. And they're doing another show in December for the Snowman, doing the same with the same principle.
Oh God.
So
no, I can't do it.
Yeah, if you've got the Constitution and the waterproof mascara, go down and watch that. But also,
isn't that only about 10 minutes long though? The Snowman.
It's like 25 minutes long.
Oh, is it?
Everyone just remembers walking in the air.
Yeah.
I was thinking that like because The Wrong Trousers is only like half an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, half an hour long. Yeah.
Oh, surprised they didn't like do all like.
I could have done all three of them, really. All three of the shorts. But also while we were down there, turns out in the what's it called, Candy? Cribs Causeway.
Cribs Causeway.
There is a Gromit Unleashed shop where you can buy all sorts of Wallace and Gromit merchandise. So I bought myself a Feathers McGraw.
Hey, nice.
Coloured like a bollard. Because these are the things that... Do you remember the Gromit trail that went around the country and there was all these differently designed Gromits? They just make these little statues with that one. So I got Pip a Bristol-themed Gromit. And I also got a cuddly Feathers McGraw. Evil's never been so cute. Pure, unadulterated evil. But no, it was brilliant. And I think it's something that Aardman need to license this out to more places, especially up north. There's so many fucking brass bands up here. They could do loads of them. It's just this wonderful little experience. I really, really enjoyed it. And like I say, I got to watch one of my favourite films again. This time with the rest of the audience, so many kids there who clearly had never seen it before were just giggling away through it, which was really sweet. And I still giggled at every gag because I always do. I've never not found that film funny. So yeah, if you get an opportunity to see anything like that, go do it.
Awesome. Well, actually, that leads on to me. I've had what they call in the industry a biggie week.
Oh no!
But what I did do actually this week for the first time, and the kids' first time as well, so we watched Chicken Run.
Yay! Nice.
Never seen it before. And the talk, we were talking about that new Wallace and Gromit film coming out the other week.
Yeah.
and we were kind of discussing Aardman, weren't we? And I was like, I've never seen Chicken Run, and we were just looking for something to watch on Saturday night, and I was just looking on Netflix, and obviously the Dawn of the Nugget came up, and I said, well, I've not seen the first one, so it's on Netflix as well, so we watched that. It's great. It's
fantastic film.
Yeah, it looks amazing still, considering it's like 24 years old or something.
Yeah, it's old,
along those lines. Jokes are hilarious. Like, I absolutely laughed my ass off at times. The kids absolutely loved it. Amelia described it as, she said, that was mint. And then they watched the new one last night. Well, I was watching the football. So, yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. Even some of the jokes that I knew were coming. I think my favourite one was where she says, he's like, what does it do? She's like, it makes pies. He's like, what kind of pie? She's like, apple. He's like, ooh, I like apple pie. Like, just that, because it's clearly obviously for chickens.
Yeah.
And like, he's just so stupid. I don't know. It just made me laugh so much.
I love him. I think my favorite one is Mrs. Tweedy. The chickens are revolting. Finally, something we can agree on.
Yeah,
that's a classic. That is one that always sticks in my brain.
I told you they were organised.
I don't want to be a pie. I don't like gravy.
Oh yeah, the kids absolutely loved Babs. They kept
Babs is
quoting her.
amazing.
They kept quoting her after the film had finished.
Is it Jane Horrocks doing the voice?
I can't remember who it is, if I'm honest. But yeah, I enjoyed that. The other thing I did was showed Amelia The Matrix for the first time.
Ooh.
The one and only Matrix.
Yes. So we do a bit of, I've been taking on a bit of a film education every now and again. Sometimes she just wants to watch a horror film, so I have to find something. I'm running out of horror films now. The only ones that are left are the ones that I think are still
too adult.
Too adult for her, yeah. So I'm trying to branch out into other films, action, adventure, and all that one. So yeah, I showed her The Matrix. She asked a couple of questions at the start, which are confusing, but other than that, she seemed to grasp it pretty well, and she loved the action. And I'd forgotten just how good that film looks in places. So again, a film that came out 25 years ago, and I've got it on Blu-ray. And the only other than the Sentinel CGI, which it's 1999, we can't do anything about that. The only kind of dodgy shot is when Morpheus is being held by Neo from the helicopter.
Yeah.
Everything else just looks absolutely incredible. They knew how to do slow motion properly. Take note, Zack Snyder. There's just individual shots throughout the whole thing that even though I've seen them before, and I was like, just the moment where the helicopter crashes into the building and it ripples across and then explodes, and you see Trinity come towards the building and she hits it and you see it from the inside. I've seen it so many times, but I was like, wow, that's just such a good shot.
I think we went to see it at the cinema pre-pandemic when it was like the 20th anniversary of it. And I think the only shot that stood out to me that's not aging very well is there is no spoon bit. I think the CGI on the spoon isn't very good.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what it was trying to do at the time. It just wasn't quite there. But you get so many scenes. Like, I love the... It's when Morpheus is teaching Neo about the Matrix, and he has to do the jump over the roof. Like, I love that jump, and then the camera tilts down to it being a fall, and he falls over the top of the camera. I love that shot. And even though the CGI when he kind of bounces into the floor is a little bit chunky, it's such a brilliantly done shot. Or even that one of Neo just picking the red pill or the blue pill, and you've got the reflection in Morpheus's shades. It's so well done. It's so cleverly done.
Yeah, I'd like to think I was telling Amelia about bullet time and how when it spins round, I was like, that's all real. That's not CGI. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, they set up cameras all like in a whole 360 so they could spin it round, and then like they could lower him down with a harness, and they could do that. And obviously the bullets are obviously CGI, but like all of like the way it's shot. And she was like, wow, that's really cool. And she was in from the get-go from that first opening where Trinity like wall jumps around the guards, and does like backflipping over them and kicking their ass and everything. She's just like, wow, that was cool. Like, yeah, she loved it. Like, then she did say, are there any more Matrix films? And I kind of avoided the question.
You should show the Animatrix though.
Yes,
the Animatrix is very good.
Yeah. But yeah, I just, even though there's some really cool action scenes in the other Matrix films, like the story, just for a 10-year-old, it's just going to be like,
don't put a 10-year-old through the Merovingian. Please don't put a 10-year-old through the Merovingian.
All the architect.
Oh yeah.
Do you think though that she might be at an age where she's not too critical and might just enjoy things kind of on the surface?
Yeah, of course she is.
Yeah.
I watched that Godzilla vs. X-Kong film, and she loved it. The amount of times we watch a film and she goes, "You're going to tell me you hated that, aren't you?" She just enjoys them, but she doesn't like
Maybe
everything.
you could just like watch the part with the architect and do like subtitles for her.
Yeah.
Like, what he's saying is bollocks.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think I'll bother with them. They're not essential, are they? Like, that film is it ends, and you can be happy with the way it ends.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to something different for her. The only new thing I did this week, though, actually new thing, just remember, was I started listening to a new podcast. And this has come about because of Miss Swift. Her partner, Travis Kelce, does a podcast called New Heights with his brother Jason. So yeah, two American footballers. They do this podcast. They've been doing it for ages, and because my TikTok has become infested with Taylor Swift recently, it also brings up Travis Kelce a lot, and it brings up highlights of this podcast. I've watched the TikToks of them, and I found them really funny, and I was like, I'm just going to I'll give this a go. The American football and American sports chat, won't lie, I skip through a little bit because I don't know anything about what they're talking about. They start talking about football or American sports. I'm like, nah, I have no interest in this. But outside of that, they just talk about any old crap and just have a good laugh about it. And they're really funny. They seem like really good guys from what I've seen. Like just in general on social media and video clips I've seen of them. And I've just found them a really funny podcast. So it's somewhat a bit different in my podcast kind of world. So I just want to try that out. And yeah, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I think that just the fact that they just don't mind taking the piss out of themselves as well, which is funny. They've got Arnold Schwarzenegger on this week as well, which it's not out yet. I think it'll be out by the time this podcast's out, but I've seen clips that they've got them. They've got they have big celebrities and stars that they get on and they interview as well. So
I did see the clip of him talking about going to Wembley to see Taylor perform, and he's saying like, I've played in front of 80,000 people at Wembley. Hers is scary.
But he's just Jason is just such an absolute lad. Like everything I've ever seen of him, he just seems to have the best time. Like after the Super Bowl, like they faced off against each other in the Super Bowl final.
Oh, so they're both footballers.
Yeah, they're both footballers. Jason is now retired. Travis is still. Jason played for Philadelphia. Travis plays for Kansas City Chiefs, and so they faced each other in the recent Super Bowl final. And there's clips of them with their mother afterwards, and they just seem like genuinely really good people. But Jason, despite the fact that he lost, he goes out and he celebrates with his brother. And there's clips of him getting absolutely wankered. And someone's like, his brother's like, you found a luchador mask on the floor, didn't you? I was like, yeah, just found this luchador mask on the floor, put it on, was in the club, like, just bouncing around with a luchador mask on.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. He just seems like a good lad. And then the recent one, they were in London, so they were trying English foods. Weren't too keen on beans on toast, so that's a down.
Quite right.
Negative. That's a negative for him. But what annoyed me more was the woman who gave them the full English breakfast. Everything was fine until she said, and of course there's chips on the side because everything comes with chips. And I was like, full English doesn't come with chips.
Shouldn't do. No. So maybe some hash browns or some fried potatoes, but not chips.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they were trying that. They were trying tea and an English tea and some beers and that from England. But yeah, it's funny. I will probably continue to listen to them, but skip the sports chat.
Fair enough.
That was me.
Yeah.
Candy.
I've done a couple of things actually this week, finally. One thing I'll just touch on quite quickly. I started finally listening to the audiobook of Dune. And
oh, nice.
Probably about halfway through it now.
Dune.
The audiobook
Dune.
production is Dune. The audiobook production is fantastic. the narration is just absolutely spot on, and they do something that's reasonably rare in something that isn't an audio play, and they do have like a little bit of background sort of ambience and everything. I think that really adds to it. I have to say though, the story, I maybe enjoyed the film a little bit more.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah, granted, I'm not finished. However, I think Lady Jessica is. There's obvious differences. Like she's very sort of subservient, almost to Paul, and just kind of following him around rather than having. I mean, obviously she does have her own agendas and everything, but it's more sort of all about Paul. There's some homophobia that doesn't really sit particularly well with me, in terms of the Baron, and I think Paul, although this might not necessarily be a bad thing because it's maybe something that wasn't portrayed that well in the film, and maybe that might be the point. But I think Paul's a lot less likable, and a lot more of a kind of political pawn, should we say? So it's all very kind of politically motivated, which is I got a little bit less of that in the film. But I mean, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm interested to read the subsequent books as well now.
The film does cut out a lot of the kind of politicking and talking. Like there's a whole scene in the book, you've probably passed it if you're halfway through now, where it's like this state dinner. And it goes on for like about 15 pages in the book and kind of nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's mostly for Jessica to have some cutting remarks against the people against her and stuff like that. Or the whole thing with Jessica's private garden, like the only kind of greenery on Arrakis, that kind of thing. So it's like a lot of that stuff got cut out, and the film makes Paul a little bit more sympathetic because you would absolutely not connect with him in the film if they kept him true to the book. Like he needs to have,
exactly.
He's very charmless in the book, whereas in the film he has a little bit of something going for him.
Yeah.
I think with the way that they've set up the film going forward, he's laid the groundwork for that. So by the time he comes back to finish that story, he can turn Paul into that. But to have had him like that from the start, you'd have been like, why do I care about this person?
Yeah, that's understandable.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on the difference between Cheney in the book and the film.
Oh, really? So I haven't even met her yet.
Once you finish it, just
you don't get the dream sequences all the way through at the beginning of Zendaya walking through the desert.
I think it was mentioned very, very briefly. I'm not sure if she was. I think all it mentioned was a skinny girl or something. And that was about it.
Yeah, that's where you get to that point. But in the film, there's so many more of these just shots of Zendaya looking beautiful in the desert somewhere.
Yeah, but a lot more of the reveals are front loaded as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, the audio production is absolutely spot on. So good. So that's kind of been the main thing I'm doing. But I forced myself to sit down and do nothing but watch a film this afternoon. And it was glorious. The sitting, not the film. I chose to watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Oh, no. That's a choice.
It was a choice. Actually, it's got kind of universally, not panned, but the crowd kind of went mild over it. I think it's got like something like 6 out of 10 on IMDb, about 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I would potentially agree. It's very middling, but I enjoyed it a little bit more than I was expecting to. But this is coming from somebody that didn't particularly enjoy Afterlife. I did enjoy it, but I didn't think it was the second coming of Ghostbusters like everyone else did. I like that it's now back in New York. It felt a lot more like the Ghostbusters we know, but with that came a little bit of, was it relying on the good old times and the old cast coming back? And did it kind of rest on its laurels a little bit with that? I think what it suffered from was it was a little bit slow throughout the film, but also they introduced so many new characters and none of them got a particular backstory. They didn't get like a great deal of character development. They were just kind of there to serve a particular part of killing this main big bad at the end. Along with it, I mean, it was nice to see the original Ghostbusters back in their Ghostbusting outfits. I think the issue is the original Ghostbusters was never. I mean, yes, it was kind of a kids' film, but it was always focused on the adults and the dry sense of humor, and not really. I mean, yes, there were visual gags, but it wasn't the kind of slapstick sort of thing that it is become now. And it's very much more a kind of kids film, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what the original intent was. That said, I mean, it was fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. There was one character, Melody, if you've seen it, you'll know who that is. I think she really could have benefited with having a bit more of a backstory to her, or a little bit of explanation, sort of where she came from, because without spoiling it, her intention is to kind of be reunited with her family, but there was no kind of build up to this relationship that we had with the family. We didn't sort of meet the family, know any of her memories or anything with them. It's just like she's got to meet back up with her family, and that's that. Connect with that. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. If you've got kids, they'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah,
But-
they do. Kids enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't so much. I think my problem was too many characters that served nothing towards the film.
Yeah.
Bring in some of the characters back from Afterlife, which didn't need to be in there. I don't know. The only original character now that kind of, for me, that works within that world still is Dan Aykroyd's character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For me, it was.
Do you know what I think? For me, like, more than kind of rebooting it, which is what they're sort of doing with the new cast, I would just love to see obviously without Harold Ramis, the original cast just being old and grumpy and like, I'm too old for this shit kind of thing.
That's what I would have preferred that.
Just being old and dry and fed up and stereotypically New York about everything.
Yeah, for me it was, I liked the family dynamic with Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, and like the four of them as a mate, and but it doesn't concentrate on that enough. It should have spent more time focusing on them four as a core unit,
Mm-hmm.
but instead we've got like original Ghostbusters over here, then we've got these new characters that we had from like Podcast and the other girl that was in it that I can't remember her name. You've also got
James Acaster.
James Acaster, who was just really weird.
What's he doing in a Hollywood film?
I don't.
Well, we don't know
Yeah.
because they didn't explain it.
He's just a scientist, but he doesn't do. He doesn't do what you want from James Acaster.
So he's not doing that slightly twisted humor of his.
No,
He was kind of like a Q type character. That's what I got
Yeah.
from it.
Seems like a waste of his abilities.
Yeah, you got what else? Who's else in there? I'm just looking now. You got Camille Nanjiani's, just Patton Oswald. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. He was in it for a second, wasn't
They
he?
just kept like adding all these new characters and side stories on. I'm like, no, just concentrate on the four. Like that's what we did with the original Ghostbusters. We had a core four members, and then obviously we had Sigourney Weaver kind of on the side of that, and then we had a couple of peripheral characters. But this is just like here, this character, that story. It's like, what do you want me to focus on and care about here?
I think what all the modern Ghostbusters films also seem to forget is that the original Ghostbusters films were action dramas cast with very funny people cast in them, which is what made them funny. Whereas the 2016 Atrocity and these two new ones have tried to be comedies or action comedies first, without having that kind of core group of characters who just happen to be funny fighting ghosts, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want my 2 hours back, but that's my review.
You've seen it, Jack?
No, I've not. No.
Yeah. No. Do you see? Have you watched Afterlife?
I have, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of After. I'm not a big Ghostbusters guy in general. It was never my thing growing up. But we very controversially fixed Ghostbusters 2 back in the day, and everybody told us, like, oh, it's still good, it was still good. And we got a lot of shit on Sequeliser.
I like Ghostbusters 2. But
Yeah.
I think the problem is it just doesn't stack up against Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2 isn't a bad film. It's just nowhere near as good as the first film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ghostbusters, the first one. I really liked kind of Afterlife. I liked the characters that it introduced, and that was what, like I said, the problem with Frozen Empire was it didn't spend time being with them again. They're all doing their own separate things, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me. And yeah, everyone seems to have forgot, don't they? Everyone in New York seems to have forgotten what happened. I'm like, sorry, but no one forgets this. No one forgets the Statue of Liberty walking through the city.
She got frozen this time, poor old gal.
Yeah, like, come on.
Not to mention as well, like half these things that come about, these terrible like ghostings that come to happen in New York, are directly because of the Ghostbusters. Like if they didn't exist, like half these things wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Is that like Batman creating the Joker? It's basically like if they weren't there to fight the villain wouldn't exist in the first place.
Well, yeah, they always seem to find some old artifact, or they start poking around something that if they'd have just left it alone, it would have probably been fine.
True. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Candy. Finally, Jack, we're going to you.
I'm going to do a bit of a biggie for my first one. I'm playing a game from 10 years ago on my PlayStation Vita, because I'm that kind of guy. I have been playing Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender Action.
Oh.
It is a visual novel, weird, cool, interesting game that I've been meaning to play for ages and didn't realize I just had it in my Vita this whole time. I was like, has it come to Switch? Is it on PlayStation? Blah, 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 blah. And basically, you are a bartender in a futuristic bar, and you just meet the various people, and you have to combine various ingredients to make drinks for them. And it's all like 16-bit JRPG kind of graphics. And you've literally just got there's no dialogue options, but the dialogue changes depending on what kind of drink you make for them. Like, oh, I want a sweet drink, and you can sort by sweet or name or type, or they might ask for a specific drink. And if you double up on all the ingredients, you make a bigger one for them, or you can make it stronger alcoholic or weaker alcoholic or whatever. Slight little variants like that then shift the dialogue in particular directions. And the cast of characters is so weird and cool and interesting. And yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun experiencing this world in a weird, like, non-linear way. It's really, really cool.
That sounds like, would you describe it as like a cozy game?
Yeah.
Like you can just sit there and relax.
Cozy.
Yeah. That sounds pretty lit to me, just making drinks for people.
Well, Candy, it's currently £7.36 on Steam.
Oh, sold.
Wasn't there a game recently like this where you're a bartender and you make drinks for people? It's on the Switch, I think. I don't know, I can't remember now. But yeah, if you like this one, you might like that one as well. See if I can try and remember it.
Yeah, because it's Cyberpunk, it's spelt with ones as well. So it's VA11HALLA. So Valhalla spelled with ones, because of course it is. But yeah, interesting little thing. If you like visual novels, if you like kind of narrative storytelling type stuff, go and check it out. Like you said, Gadget, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it on my wish list. I might pick that up for the Steam Deck at some point.
Oh, it'd be perfect Steam Deck stuff, dude. It's perfect. Like I said, I'm playing on my Vita, which is a little OLED screen. It's perfect little handheld. It's like I play it in bed with headphones on. It's got really brilliant. You have a little jukebox that you select the soundtrack from, so you get to choose what songs from the soundtrack will play during that day while you're making people drinks and stuff.
Oh, I've just turned the audio on in the trailer. I'm already in for the soundtrack. That's like,
yeah, I thought you might be, mate. It's all
bit crushed FM7 sounds and guitars and oh.
Yep, it's great. It's great. The soundtrack is fantastic. Unless they just stick your headphones in.
Yeah.
Last thing, playing it in bed on a handheld. It's been a lot of fun.
It's got a overwhelmingly positive on Steam as well.
Hey, there we go. What more could you ask for?
Fuck it, add to cart.
A dangerous thing already of like, here, play a game from 8 years ago.
You have enough games. I mean, you just bought a load from the Steam sale.
Yeah, and I haven't started them yet. And one of them is like a retrofuturism shooter as well. It's called Sulaco.
Ooh,
which is
nice.
like something that's been built in the GZ Doom engine, and it's like System Shock meets Doom. I'm like, yes. Couldn't help myself.
I cannot find this game that I was thinking of. So never mind. Maybe it was this one.
Maybe it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's come back around again. It was on sale on Switch not too long ago. And I was like, I should probably pick that up, and then completely forgot about it, and then realised
just bought it.
There you go. I'm a bad influence on you, mate, already.
This is how I ended up with Balatro as well, because like Oodles was talking about it, and he's like, it's this. I'm like, fuck, right, fine, I'll buy it. Damn you.
Oodles might quite like this, actually.
Yeah, I think he does like a visual novel.
Yeah, Oodles and I seem to have fairly similar taste in games, as much as that upsets me.
Oh, Red String Club.
Mm.
The Red Strings Club. Yeah, that's what it was called. You might quite like that if you like bartender games.
That's a subgenre of a subgenre right there.
Yeah.
String Club. Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
It looks nice.
There you go, out on Switch a few years ago.
I
Nice.
think that's got a bit of cyberpunk element to it as well, actually.
Nice.
There's a theme.
Yes. Is that everything
Not
you've
just
been
do normal
doing this week?
bartending, that's just actual cyberpunk bartending. That's the rules.
Yeah.
Two things I watched earlier today, funnily enough. One of them was Hank Green's stand-up special, Pissing Out Cancer, on Dropout. I'm a huge Hank Green fan. I've been listening to his podcast and YouTube videos for years and years and years, and him telling his story about his journey through cancer, through hilarious anecdotes and ridiculous stories is fantastic. It's a full hour-long comedy special recorded in front of an audience and all that kind of stuff. If you like Hank Green, you're gonna like it. If you don't like Hank Green, you probably won't like it. It's full on Hank Green being Hank Green, but I thought it was really funny. I was very pleasantly surprised with his command of the audience, and because he's not a stand-up by trade, he's a YouTuber and a podcaster and a science communicator and all that kind of stuff. But I thought he really held his own on stage in front of a crowd and really did some good little crowd work. He fucks up a line at one point, says the words round the wrong way, and then kind of pauses, makes it even funnier with the mistake, and then carries on. And I'm like, yeah, you've practiced.
He's a very quick person, isn't he?
Oh yeah, super smart, very quick, and like
I need to subscribe to Dropout. I've watched so many bits and pieces of their series that they put on YouTube.
Oh, Game Changer is so much fun. I've been watching that for years. I love found out Hank's thing was coming to Dropout. I was like, yes.
Do you think
I just need stuff with Brennan. I love Brennan Lee Morgan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Dimension 20 is amazing.
Do you think that obviously you said that this was based on his experience with cancer, that people who might be going through the same thing might find like a bit of something in there for him to like,
yes,
it might be
definitely.
something to help them through their experience.
100%. Yeah, he tells a story. This was like a behind the scenes clip I saw. He tells a story about this guy with a giant beard who sits in the front row, and he said his beard was so big I couldn't tell if he was laughing. And Hank Green has this, like, he pulls this guy's wife out of the crowd and says, has a chat with her and blah, blah, blah. And like, he has a bit where he uses the person's name to like rant at them as if they were his doctor and all this kind of stuff. And the guy comes back for a second show and he was like, oh, he must have enjoyed himself, I guess. But this time this guy sat next to his daughter and he asks the guy and kind of has a conversation with him. And he said, he doesn't say it out loud, but there's certain words and certain phrases, people who have cancer, that kind of tell you it's not good news and this is terminal. And he uses that kind of language, and Hank kind of picks up on it. And he said he had a conversation with this guy and he was like, yeah, I came the first time with my wife because I wanted to bring my daughter, but I wanted to come and check it first to see if it's appropriate for my daughter. And it's really helped my daughter understand my situation and what I'm going through and how much this guy could relate to Hank's story as well. So yeah, I think if you've experienced, I've lost family members to cancer. I know my wife Emma has as well, and we've been through a fair few things and that kind of thing. So I think it can be really emotional and funny, and he somehow blends both into like his scientific little nerdiness and the funniness and the emotions all coming together, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So yeah, I've never heard of him, to be honest.
He's great. He's great.
Have you ever been on YouTube in the last 20 years? John and Hank Green I feel like they've just been around forever. He's the author John Green's brother. He's been part of the Vlog Brothers, if that means anything to you. Fault in Our Stars? Not ringing any bells?
No.
Okay.
I think you could probably liken Hank Green to like an American Colin Furze. Like, he's got that level of kind of scientific knowledge. Maybe he doesn't necessarily do all the building stuff that Colin Firth does.
He's a Bill Nye the Science Guy kind of vibes.
But less
usually he does a lot. He does a lot of Crash Course, and SciShow, which are their science YouTube channels, and they talk about a lot of stuff. And he always is very enthusiastic and very engaging. That's how I kind of got. And him and his brother do a podcast together as well.
Deep with Dropout for the last couple of years, because I know he was on one of the Dimension 20 series.
Yep. And got to bust out his scientific knowledge there as well. I was like, you want to talk about bones? I know a lot about bones. I was like, here we go.
Yeah, he was going mano a mano against Brennan for like random shit knowledge.
Yeah. What's the weirdest, creepiest trivia you can find? And it's Brennan Lee Mulligan versus Hank Green. I'm like, yes, this is content made for me.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out then. But yeah, genuinely, I mean, there's so much stuff on YouTube, isn't there? So it just hasn't has never come around on my my algorithm.
I think I do need to subscribe to Dropout at some point, because I watched so much of their content on TikTok, and like I've enjoyed their content as it was college humor and stuff like that for years. I feel like I owe them some money at this point.
You said you watched something else as well.
I watched something you might be interested in, Stig. I watched AEW / New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door this morning.
I haven't watched it yet. So
I have been awake since about 3:30 this morning, so I got to watch it.
I don't know any of the results. I've stayed off Twitter. I've stayed off.
I will not spoil anything. I'll tell you I had a very good time. There's some nice surprises. There's some unsurprisingly very good wrestling. And it's my two favourite wrestling promotions crossing over. And yeah, I love it. You're getting Okada versus Tanahashi in AEW, and it's a weird kind of like mashup. Yeah.
Yeah, their pay-per-views are always great.
Yeah.
But even if sometimes some of the storylines of the Dynamite's, I think Dynamite's actually been really good recently, but in general,
it was cold for a while though.
But you generally still get great pay-per-views and wrestling matches.
Well, you got people like Swerve and Ospreay and Okada and stuff, and MJF has been like, it's just like half a dozen of the best wrestlers in the world. Just
I was kind of loving Okada being just a shit grinning dickhead.
I have the Rainmaker middle finger gif saved on my phone because it was just the fucking best. The fact that they set it up with the camera so it doesn't do the full Rainmaker pose and pull out, it pauses and then zooms back in, and he's just so good.
No, I pressed the wrong button.
Sorry, bitch.
Yeah, he's been so good.
So funny.
Are you going to All In?
I'm hoping to. Yeah. It's not been confirmed. I've not got tickets yet, but I know a couple of mates are going. I went last year. I think you did as well, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I've got tickets already. But we might try and find better ones close to the time. Might just sell what we've got and see if we can get some a bit closer. But it depends on the prices.
Yeah. And I know they're doing some other UK shows leading up to it as well, but they're like in Wales Cardiff, and stuff. Yeah. Just the opposite end of the UK to me. I'm on the East Coast. That is the West.
I don't kind of get the thinking behind we're in London for our big show, so we're going to put our weekly show in Cardiff.
Don't know.
Like usually, like WWE when they do a show in a city, it's all centered in the city and it brings everyone there.
You get 3 nights in London, right? And you do
exactly.
O2 Academy, smaller shows, and then build to the Wembley.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe that either the O2 or the Wembley Arena weren't free.
Yeah,
that's all I can think of.
And they're not doing the big Cardiff Stadium; like they're doing smaller shows and stuff. So,
Yeah, watch AEW pay-per-views if you have any interest in wrestling. They're always fun.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So
pretty much.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Gadget, what have our listeners been up to?
They've been up to a few things, so we'll start off with Lee Davies, who says, "Hello, I'm currently deep in the Elden Ring DLC, which has been fantastic so far." It is. I'm not very far into it. I haven't had the time. I'm currently getting my ass spanked by the second major boss. I just haven't had time to work out how to beat her. The main thing I want to talk about is the audiobook I'm on with. It's Every Man for Himself and God Against All, a Werner Herzog memoir, rather. Werner. Narrated by the man himself. And partway through, it's fascinating. It's on Spotify if you fancy it, if you have access to it there. That sounds like it's going to be nihilistic.
Yeah, just a tad.
Do you like Werner Herzog? He doesn't give a shit.
I'll never forget Werner Herzog showing up in Parks and Rec and just being like, I was being like, that guy sounds like Werner Herzog. That's really weird. Fuck me, it is Werner Herzog. Like, I assume they're getting some like dude doing an impression. I was like, no, that's the actual guy. And then he shows up in The Mandalorian. I'm like, what is Werner Herzog's career? Like, what is happening here?
He's just like the bad guy in that Jack Reacher film as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
just got that very intimidating German accent, and he's quietly spoken and a bit creepy. It's like that whole audiobook is like that, I assume, for like 15 hours.
Yeah. I also like you've got Werner Herzog, but then you've got Giorgio Moroder, and they sound like the yin and yang of each other because they have the same voice, but Giorgio Moroder is like happy and joyful with the world.
Yeah, it's the Greek versus the German. Is Giorgio Moroder Greek? I think he's Greek.
I can't remember if he's Greek or Italian, but either way, like they sound very similar to each other. Yeah, because I remember the first time
He's
I heard
Italian. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, first time I heard Moroder by Daft Punk. I'd had a drink. I was like, "Is that Werner Herzog?" No, it can't be. Why is he on a track called Moroder? No, it's Giorgio Moroder.
And you can call me Giorgio.
Do you know what's really weird? This week, that's the first time I ever heard that track. I've been listening.
Really?
I've been listening to more Daft Punk, and I thought I'd listen to a few other tracks, and that one, it's a class track.
It's banging.
Yeah, but it's just weird that the first time I ever heard it is this week, and then you've just brought it up then. Yeah.
Random Access Memories is one of the greatest electronic albums ever made.
Stick that one on the end of the podcast.
Yeah, well, rather than South Park, I love Moroder.
Yeah.
It's like 7 minutes of like the same loop, but it just builds and it builds and it builds. Oh, it's so good.
Back in the 1970s in Germany, I was doing this thing, and he's just telling a random story.
I generally could just listen to the whole track of him just talk, like him talking with stuff in the music.
He did it live. He did it live as well. Like he turned up at some orchestra playing like the hits of Daft Punk, and he comes on stage and gives that little speech.
Yeah,
lovely guy. Complete, like I say, complete opposite of Werner Herzog.
I wonder if they'll ever come back.
Unlikely. Super Natty Cat has said, this week has been a toss-up between House of the Dragon and The Boys. Both I found slightly slow to start, but I think it's just setting the tone for the rest of the season. The Boys is now starting to get into the heavier storylines, and House of the Dragon needs more swords. I mean, it does. But they're both very good.
The trouble is, though, I mean, we're on episode 5 of 8 of The Boys now. Like, you don't really have the time to set the scene.
But given the way the chaos has been ratcheting up this week, I expect it to just go completely off the rails.
Yeah, probably. It's setting up, but again, not spoiling anything. We're setting up the culmination of the season, and I think we can kind of see where it's headed now. But it has taken, like you said, half a season to kind of get there.
I watched Glastonbury and cried at Michael J. Fox on the guitar.
What a moment!
Oh yeah, that was great. That was incredible.
Can't stand Coldplay, but that was cool.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Coldplay, but I do like "Fix You" as a song.
I don't mind Coldplay. Like,
I'd like to see them live because apparently they put on a really good live show.
Yeah,
it's good showing that it's like lasers and stuff, and I don't like Coldplay's music, so it's not going to be a good live show. They just played the songs.
But so Michael J. Fox up to play "Fix You," which also, if you're a person of a certain age, you'll have remembered that was used when Michael J. Fox was on Scrubs.
Yes.
Aww.
And the character he played on Scrubs had OCD, which they used as basically a stand-in for them to talk about his battles with Parkinson's disease. So they had him on stage in a wheelchair playing it on the guitar, and Jesus fucking Christ, I was watching the video of it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. I just gonna cry right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it. I'd like to watch it.
Everyone should watch that Michael J. Fox documentary.
Yes,
it's so good.
It's really, really good. Just his outlook on life is incredible.
She carries on to say, cheered myself up a bit with a cracking tinny. Black cherry cider with a flick of gin from Aldi. This stuff slaps. And I watched all One Punch Man Season 2, and it was bonkers and funny as usual. It's so satirical, but has actually some serious anime all by itself. How ironic.
I love it so much.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
And she then finished off saying, this week's Stuarticus has learned to walk. Life is hard.
Yay.
Send help. He also says, meh, and mbop. which makes me think it could be in Hanson genes.
When they walk, you're fucked. You gotta, at that point, you have to have eyes everywhere because they want to be everywhere and pull everything off the shelf, and touch everything.
Yeah. Kidless life is the way forward.
Yeah. Cats.
Lots of cats. Xenos said, this week I'm partway through the new Final Fantasy XIV expansion. Probably close to halfway. I'm about level 94 with the new cap being 100. The new zones are truly spectacular. In addition to the new environments and character model upgrades, there's been a major update to the game's lighting, textures, and weather systems, which have left familiar environments looking very different. I queued into one dungeon to test one of the new jobs and discovered the updated blizzard effects there have shifted the ambience so drastically I thought I'd selected the wrong place. The new jobs themselves feel quite different to existing ones. Vipers are much faster than their melee skirmishing peers, with paired swords that can lock together into a slower and more powerful twin blade. And Pictomancers, is that like a Scottish wizard? Pictomancers are art wizards cribbing from Final Fantasy VI Realm with a range of offensive and support magic, backed up by a powerful instant spells refilled by taking time to refill your enchanted canvases.
That's fucking
words.
Cool.
I
like that.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I have had multiple people tell me to get into Final Fantasy XIV, including Xenos himself, and I was just like, I cannot do it.
I'm the
don't
exact
give a
same.
fuck
I would
about
love
MMOs.
to, but it's just such a time sink, isn't it? All MMOs.
You had to wean yourself off ESO.
Yeah, that was
can't
hard.
get into another one.
I've still got the
76.
itch. Yeah, I've still got the itch. Fallout 76 isn't even an MMO. It's just, well, it doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
It just works.
I'm not one to talk. I've put in nearly 200 hours into EVE Online so far, and I've still got no fucking clue what I'm doing. He goes on to say, as for plot, it seems oddly divisive this time. I'm enjoying it tremendously, with relatively low stakes and a wide variety of cultures to learn about based on South American civilizations. I know I get to cross the giant bridge, literally, it was made by actual giants, into the northern continent later on, but I haven't reached that point yet. However, I'm seeing a lot of comments on Reddit specifically, there's your problem. And before you scoff at that, oh, fucking hell. The Final Fantasy XIV subreddit is almost universally positive about the game. How did he know I was going to scoff?
He listens to the show, Ken. Come on.
True. People are not really happy about the current events and even downright angry in some cases. I generally don't understand why. I'd say answers on a postcard, but it would feel weird getting a postcard while I'm on what is effectively a tropical holiday and the Moogles don't do intercontinental mail anyway. Well, they want to get their fucking lazy asses together, damn Moogles. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about Final Fantasy XIV other than what you tell me, Xenos, so I have nothing to comment on other than that, like, stop knowing me. That's creepy. Angry Kurt has said, in his angry tones, this week I decided to abandon Mario the Thousand Year Door. Ooh, controversial. I don't think it's for me. I was initially enjoying it, but after 6 hours I wasn't really bothered about the story, and whilst the writing is good, I wasn't laughing out loud like I thought I might be. It's more just charming writing, and while the battle system is better than Mario RPG, I still wasn't finding it engaging enough to stick with. Had the game been of similar length to Mario RPG, I might have seen it through, but knowing it's a minimum 25 hours, I couldn't see how it would keep me engaged until the end. I mean, fair. If you're not enjoying it, don't bother.
Yeah, I think
try the Origami King.
Did he? I'm sure he played the Origami King. I'm sure I remember talking about it.
If you've not, then try it. But I really enjoyed that. It just, I think the writing was great and the everything about it I just really, really enjoyed. And I think that the different take on it being the battle system was a little bit different, which I really
the battle system rubbed me up the wrong way at the start, but then I kind of, as it got more complicated, like especially when you got into boss fights, I found it like quite entertaining.
Yeah, you had to kind of think
strategic
about how you moved around, where you went, because you only had limited moves and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was the writing for me. I just loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. He then goes on to say, after finishing the Fantastic 17, I started, but also abandoned reading Dune.
Hey.
I was hoping I'd really get into it after watching the films, but I found it pretty impenetrable with its terminology, even with the help of the dictionary at the back. Fair. A shame, but at least I gave it a go. Yep, that absolutely fair cop. Just, you could do the audiobook that Candy's doing.
Yeah, try the audiobook.
I did it in audiobook form. I just thought it helped a bit better. Just
there's still a lot of Gom Jabars and Shai Haluds as well to keep up with, but it's I don't find it too bad. I think the narration's that good that it's, I think sometimes when you read, like, I don't know about you, but I read quite quickly. So sometimes if you don't read a word right the first time, you just kind of skim over it, and you just can't do that. But
the first 100 pages of the first book are rough, and because he uses such weird words, like your gom jawars and your shai haluds and stuff like that, you don't really have a frame of reference to pronounce them in your head in your like internal monologue. So like you're going through and like, yeah, what is the Spacing Guild? What do they do? Oh no, we're talking about something else now. Why is it spice? You know, all that kind of thing. Like there's no context for a lot of what's said in the first 100 pages until it gets to like the next 100 pages when the context is given to you.
I have to find that with books, like especially just sci-fi or fantasy, where they've just made up a word and you have no reference on how to pronounce that word, and you're like, you pronounce it, and then the film adaptation comes out, an audiobook, and yeah, that's not how I pronounce that word at all.
In my head, I was saying,
yeah.
Fantasy's especially bad with it when they start just putting random apostrophes in the middle of words.
Yeah.
Even like one of my like series that I really like, one of the main kind of characters, it's just as simple as something like he's called Rulky, but I didn't pronounce the E, so I constantly called him Rulk. And then when I listened to it in the audiobook, and he's pronouncing it like that, I'm like, and there was like a Q&A with the author just every now and again. And I asked him, I said, "Is that how it's meant?" He said, "Yeah, I like gave him all the pronunciations for the audiobook." And it's just a character's name. But and then it's really difficult to start with when you start listening to an audiobook and they're pronouncing it wrong. I'm like, oh, come on, like. But then it eventually just kind of goes in.
I had that a little bit with the Gentleman Bastards books because there's the civilization, it's the language that gets used of Theron, and I don't know why when I read it as Theron, but then
yeah, like I'm listening to on Kurt's recommendation. Is it 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle?
Yeah,
I pronounce it Evelyn. The audio guy pronounces it Evelyn.
Oh.
And it took me. I've never heard anyone pronounce it like that.
Yeah,
and it just took me out of it. Like that he pronounced it like that. Now he's saying it, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But
yeah. Anyway, so Kirk goes on to say, if we come back off this little tangent, yes. Instead I've moved on to 50 more things that influence the modern economy by economist Tim Harford. I've been a fan of all of his books. I'm pretty confident I'll enjoy this too. All right. And finally, after the hype I've heard over the years, including from you good selves, I started watching The Bear.
Yes.
5 episodes in now, and it's really good. I can see why people say it's a stressful watch, but that's what makes it so good. I get similar vibes from watching it as I did Uncut Gems and Boiling Point. Probably Boiling Point's the closer one than Uncut Gems, but you've not seen out yet, Kurt.
I said that too in our Discord. Wait till the one episode in season 2 where it just goes all out.
Oh, you'll never look at a fork the same way. It is so good, The Bear. I need to start the 3rd season.
Yeah,
actually.
me too. Yeah,
me too.
Is that everyone?
That's everyone.
Awesome. Well, we're coming towards the end of the show. So how does he finish this?
Something about something socials.
Yeah. So you can find all our socials. Go to modernescapism.co.uk. You can check out our Patreon for £5 a month minimum. You get all the bonus stuff we do. We're currently doing our X-Men watch along and review series. We've just recently done X-Men 3: The Last Stand. Next one coming up in July will be Wolverine Origins.
Oh God!
So look forward to that.
Lucky you.
And then obviously on there we've got all of the Harry Potter stuff, like Kenny Potter and everything else we do on there. So, and I believe Scott Sheep is coming back in July as well.
It will be back as of this coming out. It will be back tomorrow.
Hey, nice.
Hooray!
Where we get the fallout from the musical episode.
Yes,
that we did.
So you can get access to that via our Patreon as well. Get ad-free versions of that and a whole lots of extra stuff. But before we say goodbye, before we move into the green room for the patrons, there's just one matter to cover. It's Candyland.
And now, what's up in Candyland?
I've got a triple threat this week. I've got an observation, I've got a new game, and then I've got my actual Candyland. 2 out of 3 of these may have been under the influence of various substances. I'll let you decide which might be which.
Oh dear.
So the first observation, this is just a quick one, but you'll agree with me. Keith Flint, before he did the videos to Breathe and Firestarter, was just he was a pile of jumpers tied together. That was his look. Just looked like a bunch of soggy jumpers. My new game.
All right.
New game. Oh, I've got another one. So my new game is watching perfume, getting drunk or whatever your poison is, and watching perfume adverts. It is the funniest fucking thing to watch these these big super mega stars in all earnesty, just like Johnny Depp's Sauvage.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. There's a new one and
he's playing Wild Thing badly on guitar. Like fucking hell.
I can't ever take the Sauvage advert seriously after I've seen someone had vandalised the Sauvage billboard with an S. Sausage. And that
I really hope Johnny Depp's seen that as well, because I feel like he'd find that funny.
Well, Pip gets those beauty box things, and one of them came with a sample of Sauvage in it. So it's in our bathroom, this little tube of Sauvage, and I keep seeing it, and I just walk past and go, Sausage.
You can't not. There's a new one, I think it's Chris Hemsworth, and I can't even remember what it is, Paco Rabanne or something. It's the most overblown, ridiculous. Oh my god, do it. Get really drunk and just watch a bunch of perfume adverts. You'll have the best time.
Was it the Jean-Paul Gaultier Gould one or something? It had someone like a fucking cyberpunk future on a motorcycle.
I think so. Well, that one's normally people just in waves, isn't it? Like waves crashing as Paco Rabanne. Oh no, Jean-Paul Gaultier, sorry.
But Jean-Paul Gaultier is usually a sailor nearly having sex with somebody.
That's right. Normally a mermaid.
What was the one with some bloke in a Speedo just diving off a boat?
Yeah. Anyway, perfume adverts were funny. I discovered also, this is a little Brucey bonus because I've written down on my phone. I write my thoughts down sometimes because I'm like, I will never forget, I will never remember this in the morning, but this is a great thought. I only just realised that, if you do a fart, you've done a raspberry. Oh, she did a raspberry. Oh, that raspberry snuck up on you. I didn't realise that it was Cockney slang for raspberry tart.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
You learn
and
something
high right now,
How did I?
No, I'm not high. This is just me. I will be in a minute though. The final, and now my proper Candyland. I have discovered how to do crimes because I tried to.
Is this something you should be saying on a podcast?
Yeah, because get this right. This is genius.
Yeah.
I tried to unlock my phone earlier after I'd had a nice long hot shower, and it didn't recognize my fingerprint. So if you're gonna go out and do burgles and shit, soak your hands in warm water for about 25 minutes first. In you go.
Get your wrinkly
little sucker, little wrinkled raisin hands. They ain't gonna get no evidence on you.
I find using gloves probably negates the having to hold them in a bucket of water for 25 minutes.
Well, no, because you might do an OJ and drop one.
But he was
but then all you got to do is pretend that it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I think I like my.
I can see the police. See the police go into like a bank robber, a robbed bank vault, and say, "Why is there a bowl of water outside?"
Why
are these fingerprints all like weird and wobbly?
You get a really good like criminal name as well, like a Batman baddie name.
Go on, what would your name be?
I don't know, the Soaker or something. No, that could be like that could have wrong connotations.
The Wet Bandit?
Nah.
No, it's already taken.
Just the raisin. The human raisin. The human raisin. That's it.
There's a pod
the human
title.
Raisin.
If that's not the title of the podcast, I don't know what is.
But with a Z.
Oh, with a Z.
Yeah. Human raisin.
Fear you haven't figured out how to do crimes here. I think you might.
Well, I mean, it's just the first step in a long, big scheme, but I can't let you into the rest of it, I'm afraid.
That's
just giving you a little
snippet.
Podcast. Yeah, exactly. The walls have ears.
No, they have microphones.
Yeah, exactly.
This seems on par with those people who coloured their face with permanent marker and thought it would mask their face.
God, I remember those. Meth's a hell of a drug.
But I thought it would work.
Wasn't that guy that I think it was a Florida man that held up a kiosk or something like that, just holding his hand over his face. Or that guy that robbed a petrol station with a gator. That was a
that's right.
It's the most Florida thing you can do, I think.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Or maybe rob a meth dealer using a gator.
Oh yeah.
Florida. I don't think even Candyland could go to places that Florida goes to.
I was going to say maybe I need to move there and get some tips.
Yeah.
Florida truly is the Candyland of the US.
It is. Yeah. I need to get back onto Florida Men on Florida Man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Candy. And before we go, Jack, do you want to sell your wares?
I certainly shall. Please go to sequelisers.com. You can follow us, join our Discord, all that kind of stuff. Support us on Patreon. We are patreon.com/sequelisers. If you want to go and check us out there, follow us on your social media places. Wherever you're listening to Modern Escapism, you can also listen to Sequelisers. Go and check us out. We've got season 14 kicking off very, very soon in the next few weeks. So we're going to be talking a lot about bad movie sequels. Some of them might have been teased in this episode. Who knows? Maybe. And a lot of things we've already covered because it's season 14 and we've done a lot of fucking episodes with a lot of terrible movies.
There are a lot of terrible movies.
Oh, yeah. Bad film sequels is not a small group of films, apparently, which is quite handy for us, really.
Yeah.
We're not going to be running out anytime. We have a master list that we just keep adding to. I feel like as we chip away at it with each season, it just grows and grows nonetheless. But
yeah, well, Hollywood keeps pumping them out, so it's easy for you to go, another one to the list.
Exactly. We all joked earlier, like, Frozen Empire, that's the next one. It's like, well, we've already done Ghostbusters. Like, we can just do it again.
I'd be keen for you to do another prequels series again, because that was very good, and I think there's been some trashy prequels come out recently.
Oh yeah, you guys were just talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine. We did that on Prequelizers. That was fun. That was one of my pitches. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was far and away. It was ridiculous. It was far and away better than the original version of it, though.
It featured a stark bollock naked Hugh Jackman. You're welcome, listeners. So there you go. Yeah. What more could you want?
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for coming on, especially at such late notice.
Thank you for having me.
After the other two bottled it. Yeah, thanks very much. And for all you Patreons, we'll see you in the green room. For everyone else, we'll say bye.
Bye.